What if the greatest love of your life could only be reached through a window? What if every moment together existed in a space between worlds, where the rules of reality bent just enough to let two souls touch? This is the story of Roddy and Maryann, and the window that connected them across an impossible divide. Roddy had always said that love wasn't a door you walked through. It was a window you climbed into. And for months, he lived by those words. Every visit to Maryann's house followed the same ritual. He would arrive after sunset, walk past the front door without even glancing at it, and make his way to the side of the house where a particular window always stood open, waiting for him like an invitation written in moonlight. He never questioned why he couldn't use the front door. He never asked why their love existed in this strange, poetic space of half-forbidden meetings and whispered conversations in dimly lit rooms. There was something beautiful about it, something that made their connection feel more real than anything he had ever known. The act of climbing through that window each time felt like crossing into another world, a sacred space where only they existed. Maryann would always be there, waiting. Sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in the hallway, but always with that soft smile that made his heart race. Her presence filled the house with warmth, even though the rooms themselves often felt cold. She moved through the space like a melody, graceful and ethereal, and Roddy found himself falling deeper in love with every visit. But there were rules to their romance. Unspoken rules that Roddy never quite understood, but always respected. He could never stay overnight. No matter how much he wanted to fall asleep beside her, to wake up and see her face in the morning light, it was impossible. As the night grew late, an invisible force would pull at him, a feeling in his chest that told him he had to leave. And he always did, climbing back through that window into the night, already counting the hours until he could return. Their relationship existed in stolen moments, in conversations that felt both ordinary and extraordinary. They talked about everything and nothing. She told him about books she loved, songs that moved her, dreams she had about fields and open skies. He told her about his day, his hopes, his fears, and how she had become the center of his universe. There was a strange poetry between them, something half forbidden, half divine, as if their love existed in the space between reality and dream. One evening, Roddy said something that made her laugh. That soft, melodic laugh that made the world feel brand new. He joked about catching a cold from climbing through windows in the autumn chill. She looked at him with those luminous eyes, and said he had caught something all right. He had caught love. And in that moment, he knew she was right. He was completely, irreversibly caught. It was late October when everything changed. The trees outside burned with color, brilliant reds and golds that seemed to glow in the fading light. The air had that electric chill of changing seasons, that feeling of transformation hanging heavy in the atmosphere. Roddy felt it as he approached the house that night, a tightness in his chest, a sense that something was different. The window was open as always. He climbed through, his movements practiced and familiar. But the house felt different. The air was heavier, charged with something he couldn't name. He called out her name, Maryann. His voice echoed strangely in the quiet rooms. He found her in the living room, sitting on the sofa, her face turned toward the open window, her hands folded in her lap. She looked ethereal in the dim light, more beautiful than he had ever seen her. "You came," she said softly. Her voice carried a weight he had never heard before. "Of course," he replied. "You left the window open." She smiled faintly. "I knew you would." But something in her tone made his chest tighten, made his heart beat faster with an anxiety he couldn't explain. They sat together in the low glow of a single lamp. She wore a pale blue dress, the one she had worn on their first date, and her hair, usually tied back, fell loose around her shoulders. She looked like a memory, like something precious and fragile that might disappear if he looked away. The silence between them felt profound, filled with unspoken words and emotions too big for language. "I had a dream," she whispered. "You were standing in a field, and there was no window between us anymore. You called my name, but I couldn't come to you." Her words sent a chill through him. He reached for her hand, finding it cold and delicate in his. "Then I'll come to you," he said with conviction. "I'll always come to you, no matter what, no matter where." The conversation took on a dreamlike quality. She spoke about love and loss, about the nature of connection, and the boundaries we cross for the people we cherish. She talked about windows and doors, about the difference between walking into someone's life and climbing your way in. Every word felt significant, weighted with meaning that Roddy struggled to grasp. "I love you, Maryann," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "More than anything." "I know," she interrupted softly, her eyes glistening. "And I love you more than you'll ever know." The way she said it felt like goodbye, and panic rose in his throat. Why did it feel like she was slipping away from him? Why did the room suddenly feel colder? The clock struck 11. The sound echoed strangely through the house, each chime reverberating like a heartbeat. Time seemed to slow down, each second stretching into eternity. Maryann looked at him with such tenderness, such profound sadness, that he wanted to gather her in his arms and protect her from whatever was causing that look. They sat in silence as the minutes ticked by. Roddy held her hand, memorizing every detail of her face, the curve of her smile, the way the lamplight caught in her eyes. He didn't understand why this night felt different, why every moment felt like it might be their last. But he held on, refusing to let go. When the clock struck 12, everything changed. The moon was full that night, its light flooding through the open window with unusual intensity. The house went dark. The lamp flickered and died, plunging them into moonlit shadows. Roddy jumped up, startled. "Maryann," he called out, his voice sharp with fear. The moonlight poured through the window, painting everything in silver. She was still sitting on the couch, but now her eyes were closed. She looked peaceful, serene, like someone lost in a beautiful dream. But she wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. And suddenly, with a terrible clarity that crashed over him like a wave, Roddy understood. The window that was always open, the inability to use the front door, the fact that he could never stay overnight, the strange, timeless quality of their meetings, the cold rooms in a house that should have been warm. All of it made horrible, perfect sense. Maryann wasn't waiting for him in that house. Maryann had been gone for a long time. The realization broke something inside him. He fell to his knees beside the couch, tears streaming down his face. How long had she been reaching across the divide to be with him? How much strength had it taken for her to keep that window open, to create this space where they could exist together? Their love had been real. Every moment, every word, every touch. But it had also been impossible. He finally understood what she meant about the dream. About standing in a field with no window between them. She was telling him that one day they would be together without barriers, without the need for windows or doors, or the strange magic that had allowed their souls to touch. But that day wasn't today. Today, he had to let her go. Roddy stayed there until dawn, holding her cold hand, whispering words of love and goodbye. As the first light touched the horizon, he felt her presence fade, like mist dissolving in sunlight. The house grew colder still, emptier, just a structure of wood and stone with no life left inside it. He climbed back through the window one final time, his heart shattered, but full of gratitude for the impossible gift he had been given. Love, he realized, wasn't just a window you climbed through. It was the courage to climb through it, knowing the fall might break you. It was the willingness to exist in impossible spaces, to bend reality for just a few more moments together. It was saying goodbye when every part of you wanted to hold on forever. Maryann had taught him that love transcends the boundaries between worlds, that it persists even when logic says it shouldn't, that it finds a way. He never went back to that house. The window, he imagined, was finally closed. But on certain October nights, when the moon is full and the air has that electric chill of changing seasons, he thinks of her. He thinks of pale blue dresses and soft laughter, of windows left open and love that refused to die. And he knows that somewhere, in a field with no barriers between them, she's waiting. And one day, when his own time comes, he won't need to climb through a window to reach her. He'll simply walk forward, and she'll be there, smiling that smile that makes the world feel brand new.